Oh boy. What is up, everybody? Happy Thursday to you. We are almost at the end of the week. I'm excited. Happy Friday Eve to you. Boy, I tell you, I was just relaxing. I did have a little shot, so I'll probably be telling the truth here. All the time I be telling the truth, but try to restrain myself sometimes so that I don't get caught by the YouTube algorithm demons. But anyways, I saw clips of the Tim Pool crash out. And again, this is kind of that continuation of that Republican conservative infighting. And if I was Democrats, I mean, I'm sure they're just sitting back like, let them hoes fight. We got a midterm to win. And these people crashing out makes them look less rational than they like to portray. But anyways, I heard that Tim Pool crashed out. I was hearing some of the talking points of his crash out about the midterms and how, obviously with the infighting and a lot of the rivalry going on, the Turning Point USA, which is a pivotal century of their movement, right? Remember, Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk was really responsible for swaying elections for Trump both times. So now they're worried because a lot of this infighting in their conservative base is leading to a lot of shifts in political loyalty, right? You have a lot of people who are siding with your Dave Smiths and your Candace Owens and your Ian Carrolls, these people who are saying that they are really digging into the truth of the establishment and they don't care about some of these fake conservative media pundits, right? And again, the conservative base, I feel like it's almost like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place because they have your establishment media and then you even have what I would consider your establishment independent media, indi- people who claim that they're independent, but they're still on the same team as the people who are the establishment, and you can kind of tell by the way that they operate. So, in terms of independent media now, whether you're a Democrat or a conservative, you have to look at these independent pundits and commentators and take everything that they say with a grain of salt because some of these people can start off really honest, independent, right? But the minute they can be bought, and you can almost clock when some of these conservative commentators have been bought, right? Because then they start being flaky on their position. It's like 1 minute they're speaking with conviction, and then the next minute they're dancing around topics and whatnot. This is how you can tell when your favorite commentator has turned on you. Okay? So that's just to say that a lot of these conservative independent commentators, they're kind of revealing themselves in lieu of Charlie Kirk's death because a lot of these people who arguably they were Team Turning Point USA because obviously it was the center of their movement, Team Charlie Kirk, even if they were competing with Charlie Kirk and trying to be like Charlie Kirk, right? Maybe out longer than Charlie Kirk, but again, Charlie Kirk had a more dynamic character. He knew how to play people, and Charlie had Candace Owens. Honestly, I think that Charlie Kirk owes a lot of his development and even just his people sense to Candace Owens, and you can tell by their text message string that they were a integral part of each other's development. So, off of that, you got these conservative pundits, and they're all vying for the same conservative audience. Make no mistake, they're all vying for the same conservative audience. So, Turning Point USA had the same conservative audience as Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, right? And so when you start thinking about the credibilities of some of these pundits within the conservative mix, it's arguable that a lot of these conservative MAGA people are starting to ask a lot of questions, just like these people. And they're starting to listen to voices like Tucker, Candace, Ian, Dave. And that tells you that even the paid establishment media, these independent people like the Daily Wire, right, your Tim Pools, all who a lot of people argue have a reoccurring thing of being bought out or getting money or major donations from Zionist structures who, let's just face it, we already see how MAGA is rolling. They don't like Zionists. They don't even like these wars that we're involved in. There's a lot of MAGA people. They're like, we don't want to be involved with Israel's affairs. And so you see that clear division. But again, I said it in my last video, they don't want Turning Point USA to fail. It can't fail because it is the influence that the organization has historically wielded that makes it powerful. Once you start breaking that down, that influence, right? Now you do not have a voting base on lock. So trust and believe the conservative establishment, this Candace Owens investigation and Charlie Kirk, that them taking out Charlie Kirk, right? This shit is going to impact how midterm elections pan out. And it's not just Charlie Kirk, it's the Epstein thing too. A lot of these people aren't even, I think a lot of the Republicans, they're not thinking about how their stance, their position, their silence on these Epstein files, how that's going to mess with them in the midterms too. Because now the Republicans, a lot of them ran on Epstein. They ran on these files. And then only for them to start dancing around with a whole bunch of bullshit that really left people just as dry as the Democrats. So you can tell that the pedophiles, the protectors of pedophiles, exist in both of these parties. Okay? But off of that, Tim Pool is spazzing out. And again, one thing I don't like about some of these conservative men is they try to act like they're alpha men. And they're like, yeah, God, faith, and family, blah blah blah, and that's what they think makes them an alpha man. But then when it's time for them to react to something that they do not like, then the real bitch come out of them. Because real alpha men operate with some level of decorum, rationality, and sense of calm. When you anytime you see a man out there spazzing out like a 5-year-old child, that is not an alpha man. I don't care how much money he's running around with thinking that he's big guy. I don't care what CEO of what company. If he's spazzing out all the fucking time, that is a man with bitch like behaviors, and that is not a real alpha male. That is a beta bitch male with some money and a little title. Okay? But, anyways, let's listen to this beta bitch male that they call Tim Pool spazzing out on Candace Owens.
Candace Owens is a f***ing evil scumbag. She is a degenerate. She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you told me? She has no security. She doesn't deal with we have to deal with.
So Tim Pool is spazzing out because now, again, they have to make Candace Owens look irrational right now. They have to try to gang up on her to discredit her, right? Because a lot of the dots that she's connecting with Charlie Kirk directly makes it puts a microscope on his own damn organization, and it makes it look like there was a coordinated effort to Julius Caesar this man from within. And honestly, if you study the history of factions, political, social factions, the ringleader is usually taken out by somebody within, somebody who maybe is not happy with the leadership or the decision maker of the leader, right? And in Charlie's case, there was about $150 million on the block that he was refusing because he didn't want to play game with Israel, allegedly, right? But that is just to say that you see these faction divisions throughout history. But here Tim Pool is trying to make the argument in his spazzing out on Candace Owens that what Candace is doing is burning down what they were able to build, right? Never have we seen a Republican movement as strong as we have with the MAGA movement, right? The involvement, the anticipation, the excitement. This is a true organic populist movement. And Turning Point USA is actually at the center of that populist movement in so many ways. So, what Tim Pool is saying is that what Candace Owens is doing is not only putting a microscope on Turning Point USA, and it's causing a lot of people that have some kind of faith or trust in that organization, is causing people to be turned off by Turning Point USA. And this is why they got Erica Kirk out there with her tears and her anger and her frustrated, grieved widow that these conspiracies are being put out there on the internet when, according to Erica, Candace Owens and some of these other people who are investigating the why of her husband's death, you know, according to her, what did she say? What did she say? I guess it's not like who killed Charlie that's important, but the more important thing is the movement, the midterms coming together, right? And so this is politics. It's like, okay, I know my husband is dead, right? But we got to maintain his legacy and his purpose, and we got to basically think about the midterms, right? We got to come together, right? Because there's something bigger than Charlie dying here that we need to focus on, and that's the energy that And I'm not saying she said that, but that's the energy that I got from Erica Kirk. Is she's deflecting from this investigation too. She's like, let's not focus on this. And again, Candace Owens looks like the grieving widow. She can be like, that's my man, that's my husband, that's my husband, right? But to me, you're not really acting like a real ride or die wife. And the conservatives can say that she is all they want to, but if that was my man and I believed in his mission, I'm not gonna fuck the midterms. That ain't got shit to do with me. Right? People gonna vote how they vote, right? But I want to know who killed my man. And you would swear that Charlie Kirk was Candace's man, as hard as she's going for him. But Tim Pool, he's out here, and I do see this victim strategy that's playing out too with Erica Kirk. I knew they were going to bring her out with the tears, the grieving widow. They had to do that to kind of get some garnered sympathy and deflect from what some of the stuff that Candace is saying. Because again, Candace is dropping bombs on Turning Point USA and this possible motive of an inside job to get rid of Charlie. And the dots that she has connected, they're more plausible than even the Mossad trying to kill his ass to me. Like, to me, if somebody said, Angie, you got to pick. Did Israel have something to do with Charlie's death, or was it an inside job? I'm like, it's probably a little bit of both. But if I had to go real close to executors, right, I'm going to have to pick TPUSA, right? The funding sources and the executors, right? That's what it would be going on in my mind if somebody asked me a question like that. But the midterm elections are coming up, and the Republican base needs their people cohesive. So when you have these divisions, it does make people nervous, right? Because there's a lot of people that stand to get primaried anyways because they were soft on Epstein. So the Republicans are already not looking good. But then you got these Republicans like Tim Pool spazzing out on Candace Owens on a show. And then he's like, and my people say she doesn't even have security. He's trying to say in every little slick way, like he didn't say it directly, but if somebody had to translate, parts of his rant, it's almost as if he is encouraging taking her, Charlie Kirk, and her in so many different ways. Because why would you even have to mention in your little bitch ass rant that Candace Owens doesn't have security? Like, he said that. Why is that relevant to the discussion? Are you saying that she's saying all this shit and we can just go and touch her real quick? You know what I mean? Listen to how Tim Pool is articulating. And then he's calling Candace Owens' crowd stupid. He's calling them unintelligent. And that may be true or false. Who knows? But these are the same people that follows him. And this is the crazy thing with these conservatives. They're fighting with each other, right? And if you're going to be fighting internally, do that internally. But the last thing you want to do is talk shit about another commentator's audience, because you guys are sharing audiences. And so you're essentially talking about your own audience. And so Tim Pool is not the sharpest tool in the shed, and I never want to hear him talk about common sense. I never want to hear him talk about black people and our intelligence, because of the white people, you are one of the lower intelligent. And that's just what it is. What you think,
said,
Candace?
I am saying that people that watch her show are stupid. Because they're not accepting the Fed slop and that they will not just eat the Fed slop that we are trying to give them. And then it was funny because later on in the show, he kind of lamented the fact that he lost a bunch of subscribers to his show because he attacked me, even though I never attacked him back. But he didn't put two and two together, which would imply that that means that people who are watching your show were also watching my show. So you're calling your own fans stupid, which is probably why they
These
unsubscribed.
people are not
We are
smart.
voting right now. We are voting with our eyes. We are voting in terms of when we say, I don't want to listen to this podcaster because they're trying to get me to eat this Fed slop. This is how we're voting. I mean, so many people are going down. It's like something about the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Just keep in mind that, when it comes to power in this world, power in this world comes from influence. There's a lot of power in having influence. And once you have a large base of people that you can influence, you can be paid to alter your opinions or the messaging that you give to that audience. And this is what these people are paying for. Turning Point USA had a lot of influence, political influence, which is the worst influence that anybody can have if you're going to have influence in this world, because that is the kind of influence that can get you killed if you are not playing ball with the right ideas. Political influence is by far the most dangerous. Candace Owens knows this. She knows this. And even though what Candace is saying is not trying to sway elections, like Charlie Kirk, his organization directly tries to impact and sway elections. They are doing what the Democrats have historically done, which is grassroots, boots on the ground, talking to people, right? They basically, like Charlie Kirk basically mastered the Democratic grassroots strategy, and he actually executed it better than them in so many ways when he came up with Turning Point USA. Because again, if you ask me, what is a Democrat grassroots organization that's just on and popping and that people talk about all the time, I couldn't tell you. But if you ask me, what is a Republican grassroots organization that people are on and talk about all the time, I'm gonna say Turning Point USA before Charlie Kirk died. Now, Turning Point USA definitely, I think, is on a lifeline, because as people are starting to scrutinize the organization and even Charlie's death, a lot of people, they're not going to feel comfortable supporting an organization that took out their own leader if it's on some selfish gains. And again, I don't think that when it comes to Charlie Kirk, the who, the what, the when, and why, I don't think the public is ever going to know anything definitively. They're only going to be able to have the dots that they connected with Candace Owens to go on, but those dots that she has connected is enough to get people to buy out of interest in that organization and even the things that they're saying. And if Turning Point USA loses the power of influence, which is what Erica Kirk is worried about with all of this stuff that Candace is saying right now, if they lose the power of influence on the conservative base, then they basically lose their organization. And Tim Pool just said she's trying to set everything on fire. I think that's what Candace Owens wants to do. I think that it's like if Charlie can't have this organization, if he can't face this organization, run his organization, nobody can. So I don't think that Candace is going to take her foot off anybody's neck anytime soon. And who knows what the end game is going to be, because to say that Candace is going to get justice for Charlie, I don't think so. I don't think so. And that's just what it is. You can talk about it until the cows come home. You can talk about it until the cows come home. Is she going to get the justice that she wants for Charlie? No. They're going to throw Tyler Robinson in our face. They're going to stay with that little narrative. Turning Point USA is obviously on board with that narrative because they're saying, well, we trust the FBI, we trust this, knowing that if it was Charlie Kirk probably would not have trusted what the FBI was saying, but whatever, right? They do, right? I don't think Turning Point USA is going to survive. And, obviously, Erica Kirk, she's doing all her runs and her press runs. And I saw an interview with her recently, and her hair looked like shit. She looked a little disheveled. It's like, y'all keep playing in our face with Erica Kirk. I'm sorry. Y'all keep playing in our face with Erica Kirk. And I think I saw a live stream where she took acting classes. She was an actress or something like that. And so y'all keep playing in our face with Erica Kirk. I'm just going to say that. I don't believe that woman is a grieving widow at all. And then I guess there were some accusations that Charlie had not been buried. And she was saying that she was worried about somebody going and desecrating his grave. And it's interesting. A lot of stuff going on with Charlie Kirk. I pray for everybody. I pray that people come to some kind of reason. There's no side to be on. But Tim Pool and a lot of these other conservative commentators are spazzing out. Another reason why is because that black woman is topping y'all when it comes to podcasts. They're not Candace Owens. You can try, like, these people have coordinated against this woman. And again, I'm not no super fan of Candace Owens. I've talked enough shit about her, and I still think she's a sketchy grifter, right? But she's also a super sloop. And then when I need some super sloop tea, I'm gonna check in to Candace Owens, okay? But they're jealous of her. And I think that they need to start calling a spade a spade. All of their little ideas, white man, we're better. We're just better at everything. White people are this, white people are this, white people are this. And it's like, honey, we are all just humans. And in the world of human beings, your color, your complexion, your tone, that doesn't dictate what your capabilities are. Just because you were born with white skin does not mean you were born a winner. There are plenty of white people that are losers. There are plenty of white Americans that are stupid. There are plenty of white Americans that just are not intelligent. All right. And I think that people need to start realizing that. Right. And I think what burns a lot of these hidden white supremacists about Candace Owens is that she's better than you. She's better than you. She does it better than you. She's more interesting than you. And this isn't a race card argument for all white people and the white people that follow me, the good white people, right? Y'all know we're not talking about y'all. So just check out. Okay? Remember, we talked about there's a difference between white people and white people. Okay? We're talking about the white people right now, right? And the white people are the ones that believe in white supremacy. And these are the people who it burns their soul that black woman is ahead of them, that she's doing that better than them. So for all the little white supremacists on the conservative side, right? Candace Owens continues to break the narratives that you guys really want to continue to perpetuate about black people. And don't think that Candace Owens is the only black person, black American person in this nation that is sitting on straight up common sense. She's the only one that have just cleaved on to y'all side to buck dance for you when us other ones just are not interested in that. We don't sell our souls. But anyways, you guys, let me know what you think. Tim Pool is just revealing how beta male a lot of these conservative men are. They're talking about alpha, alpha. No, you a bitch. You a bitch at heart. Any man that crashes out like this man did on a podcast with no self control, you are a bitch at heart. You have the emotions of a 5-year old. But, anyways, shout out to Candace Owens because her podcast is doing better than the Daily Wire's podcast. She's doing better than a lot of these conservative commentators, and they hate it. They need Candace out the game so bad. And I bet you if they took Candace out the game, right, these same fake ass people will be on their damn podcast trying to act like they actually like Candace, like some of these people are acting like they actually like Charlie. But anyways, what's going on, Boo? What's going on, Davis? Thank you for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think about Tim Pool's bitch little rant. What's going on, Brian? It's like that with both parties, like when Democrats ignore Biden's mental decline until it couldn't be hidden anymore. I'm telling you, these people will gaslight us until the cows come home. And and it's ridiculous to me that there's been so much gaslighting in politics that it befuddles me that any American person would have loyalty to a political party. Like, you gotta be a lemming. You guys remember lemmings, right? A lot of these people they're like lemmings at best because there's been just so much gaslighting between the Democrats and the Republicans. There is no way that people can have loyalty to these parties. And again, the conservative establishment, they are upset with Candace because Candace is going after Turning Point USA. And she's not even going after Turning Point USA. She's trying to basically analyze what was going on and who would have had an interest in taking out Charlie Kirk because she feels like it was an inside job. But in her putting a microscope under Turning Point, she's also putting their midterm reality in their minds in jeopardy, according to Tim Pool. But really, the outcomes of the midterms have nothing to do with what Candace Owens is doing investigating Charlie Kirk, outside of the fact that Turning Point USA may not be able to wield the influence that those big time donors have paid them to wield. And that's very problematic for the organization because they're useless to the big time donors if they can influence massive amounts of people. And again, in Satan's world, you get paid for influence, swaying people's minds, manipulating people, you know? And if they can't do that, then they're useless, and Turning Point USA is going to fail. And that's why Erica's ass is so on the microphone right now. And it wasn't until Candace started talking about their money and the loyalty and unsubscribing that they're like, hold on, hold on, hold on. Don't talk about our money. Don't tell people to unsubscribe to us because we need all of these people in the conservative base to believe in what we are doing, even without Charlie being here. And if they don't believe in what we're doing, if they think that somehow we had something to do with Charlie, they're not going to support. They're going to lose their influence, and Turning Point will be just another grassroots that came and went and died with Charlie Kirk. Real shit, they shouldn't have killed Charlie Kirk. They should not have killed Charlie Kirk. Because if they thought that they were going to kill Charlie Kirk and replace him with his blonde hair, blue eyed wife, you're sadly mistaken. You're not gonna replace a man's organization with his woman. You're just not. I don't care how CEO and you know, no. Give Erica some more acting classes because she's not about to replace Charlie Kirk. And that's just what it is. So, anyways, you guys, thank you to those who tuned in. I see Barry in the house. I didn't mean to make this long. I just dropped this live stream because I'm just like, damn, Tim Pool is going ham. And you see all these other conservative commentators, it's like they're going gang gang on Candace Owens. And at the heart of what they're going gang gang on is their fear that like not only they will lose their clout in this audience that they all share, but that Turning Point USA is going to lose its influence. And if it loses its influence, that really impacts their voting power. And, you know, it's interesting too, because I think that when you think about a person like Candace Owens, right? If you're going to say, okay, if we're talking about the influence and the power of Turning Point USA, one could argue that the power that they wielded, that the donors were paying them to have, Candace kind of has it now. And in a lot of respects, I understand the interest to get rid of Candace Owens. Because when you think about that influence, right, who holds the power really of the influence when it comes to that conservative base? A lot of people can argue that it's Candace Owens. She has more influence now than Daily Wire. She has more influence than any of your establishment conservative people, even Fox News. Candace Owens has more influence than even Turning Point USA in a lot of regards because, again, her followers are going up. Tim Pool is going down. Charlie Kirk show going down. So at the end of the day, in Daily Wire, we already know they probably had some kind of form of stagnation. They had to get rid of what Brett Cooper. I'm sure they really trying to break even after they got rid of her ass. So that tells you a lot of stuff. Truth does prevail. Truth really does prevail. People who stand on truth, they're going to prevail. I mean, they threw a lot at Candace Owens, and she is still standing. Now, of course, they're going to make a concerted effort to try to take her out of the game, and we do pray for Candace. We do pray for Candace, right? But she's on top of all of them, and they hate that. I think they hate that more than anything. I think Tim Pool, his spaz out game, it's not just because she's going after Turning Point USA. It's not because he's afraid of the outcome of the midterms. He is looking at that woman's numbers and her audience do nothing but go up as his is now going down. All right, you guys, I'm about to get off of here. Love your neighbors as yourself. If you have some observations or comments about this videos, definitely drop a comment under the video afterwards. And if you missed this, you can always catch this on a replay on my live tab, my live streams tab. And if you like content like this, by all means, subscribe. I'm getting tired. It's getting my bedtime and I'm getting sleepy. But let me know what you guys think about Tim Pool and that crash out. These people are jealous of Candace Owens. Like, and it's very, very obvious. You don't crash out that hard on somebody that you are not jealous of, that you're not competing with, that you don't think is a threat. So clearly, Candace Owens is a threat to Tim Pool because he is out there just going ham on his own damn show and losing subscribers in the process. You can't make this shit up, y'all. Bye.